Today's judiciary hearing began with a welcome for Judge Maldonado. What followed was a tense exchange, pressing her on productivity, backlog, and legal positions. The answers only raised more questions. Stay tuned, this one will have you shaking your head. I started with the facts. Judge Maldonado is one of the least productive members of her district court, with 125 motions pending, more than any other judge in the 7th Circuit. She ranks 7th worst in the nation, so I had to ask, how can someone with this record be considered for a promotion? Subscribe to Capital Conservatives for more coverage the mainstream media won't show you.
Judge, welcome.
Thank you.
You are probably the least productive member of your district court, isn't that right?
Well, I have not considered myself in those terms, Senator.
Well, let me explain what I mean. You have 125 motions pending that you've declined to decide.
Let
me finish. That's more than any other district judge in the entire 7th Circuit. In fact, you rank 7th highest nationally, do you not?
I am not familiar with those statistics, Senator Kennedy.
You haven't looked?
I did look in preparation for this hearing, but I didn't compare myself to others.
You haven't seen that you ranked the 7th the worst in the country in terms of making decisions?
You are the first to tell me this. And I think for me, I stress the quality of my decision making. And as I explained, I was the first district judge to come on during this administration.
The judge explained she started during a tough time, facing backlogs and pressure, but so did every new judge. Yet she remains the least productive. Justice delayed is justice denied. Every day a case lingers costs people dearly. I looked into her past work. Years ago, as a law firm partner, she signed a pro bono brief for the Brady Center. In it, she argued assault weapons could be banned as extraordinarily dangerous and not for self-defense. But when I asked her to define assault weapons, she claimed she didn't remember, yet she had sworn to every word in that brief.
Yeah, but so were all the others. I mean, there have been 68 district judges confirmed in the 117th Congress. In terms of motions pending for more than 6 months, you rank number 3. You all came on at the same time. You all had the same problems with COVID. You're the 3rd worst. You really think of all the other district judges in the 7th Circuit, you're the one that ought to be promoted based on this record?
Senator, this is something that I've discussed with my fellow judges, many of us new judges from...
Not you said you'd never looked at these statistics.
I haven't, these particular statistics I am not familiar with. But in terms of new judges, both from the current administration and the former administration, we are quite a collegial bunch, and oftentimes talk about the pressures of a new judge and the way reassignments work in our district, which is that you get, for example, 300 cases.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. I'm familiar with the procedure in federal court. Here's what I'm trying to understand. Why is your record so bad?
Well, I don't view it that way, Senator. When I look at the quality of my decision-making, the feedback that I get from parties.
Of course parties are not going to criticize you. They want you to rule in their favor.
I understand, Senator Kennedy.
I mean, that's just the way it works. Help me understand why you have such an abysmal record in moving cases. I mean, it costs a lot of money to litigate, and people are paying lawyers, and time is money. And of all the district court judges in the 7th Circuit, you're the worst in terms of moving cases. Why do you think you deserve to be promoted over all of those others? So,
Senator, again, I'm not familiar with the statistics, but I stand by my record and that I give parties what they need. I think, I am regularly in my courtroom. I am regularly issuing decisions. I just came on at a very difficult time where there was a backlog in the courts.
I pressed further. How can someone forget what they told a federal court to ban, or sign their name to a sweeping legal claim without understanding it? Responsibility doesn't disappear with a signature. Accountability matters, especially for lifetime judicial appointments. If you agree, tap like and subscribe to Capital Conservatives.
Did everybody else? Let me ask you, when you were a partner in your law firm, you volunteered to write a brief on behalf of the Brady Center. You wrote the brief, and this is what you said. You volunteered for this. You weren't being paid. Is that right?
This was a pro bono case that one of my partners brought in, yes.
You said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Just to clarify, there, I was local counsel. Our Supreme...
But you wrote the brief. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Senator Kennedy, actually, I did not write the brief. The brief was written by...
You signed the brief, though, didn't you?
Correct. I signed the brief.
You sign a brief, you're testifying to the court that everything in it is true, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they're your words in terms of the court, right?
Well, you're correct, Senator Kennedy. Okay. I would never
Tell
sign...
me what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert, and at the time, that brief, I think, was about 10 years...
You were giving the court advice about, say, ban assault weapons. What is... You told the court you were an expert. Just tell me what you wanted to ban.
Senator, sitting here today, as I said, I did not write that brief. I was local counsel.
Sign the brief.
I understand. At the time...
Tell me what you wanted to ban. That's all I want to know.
I don't remember the exact definition of assault weapons in the ordinance that was at issue.
So you submitted a brief to an appellate brief, you signed it, and you don't know what, and you said abolish assault weapons, and you don't know what you wanted them to abolish?
Senator, at the time that I signed the brief, I read the brief because our Supreme Court required an Illinois bar member to sign the brief. I was not responsible for researching the content.
You were responsible for the brief.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sitting here today, I do not remember the characteristics of that were cited in the ordinance for the assault weapons ban. It's not an area of practice that I have specialized in. I'm sure if 10 years ago I could have answered your question.
And
but
Judge,
sitting here today,
you think you deserve to be promoted with this record?
Senator, I stand by my record. I stand by my record.
With the worst record in her circuit and questionable past positions, I asked, why should she be promoted over others? Her answer, she stood by her record. But to many Americans, that record speaks for itself. This hearing was about more than one judge. It was about the standard we hold for the federal judiciary. Productivity, clarity, and accountability are the foundation of trust in our courts. When nominees can't defend their records, it's the American people who pay the price. Hit subscribe for more unfiltered coverage. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay conservative.